أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم ولله جنود السماوات والأرض وكان الله عليما حكيما. صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Fat, He is the one who sent down serenity upon the hearts of the believers so that they may increase even more in their faith. To Allah alone belong the forces of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another edition of Islam for Europeans. And I wanted to talk about the whole, World Cup in Qatar as it has wrapped up a couple of days ago. Argentina winning the World Cup, congratulations to them. But I just want to say how much of a enormous success this whole World Cup was for multiple reasons. I mean, it's a win for the Muslim world. It's a win for the Arab world. It's a win for the Palestinian cause, and just an incredible amount of positivity for the whole event. And when Qatar when they first got the go ahead to host the World Cup, I mean, it was the most highly criticized dawning of the World Cup ever. And even I was like having a lot of speculations about it, about the weather. Is it going to be too hot for the players? So they'll have to have it in the winter. How much money are they going to spend? What about the human rights record and all that stuff? They just were able to unbelievably overcome and just surpass everybody else's expectations. So it just, so many positive things came out of the entire event. I mean, for starters, World Cup Qatar is, the way I see it is, the probably the biggest chance the Muslim world has ever had to bring millions of non-Muslims from all across the world, not just in the West, but in the East and Latin America, and give them the first ever experience of being in a Muslim country. Just that right there is an unbelievable success. I mean, the dawah that comes out of that is just an enormous treasure. I mean, think about how many people who've even never heard the adhan before. And then on top of that, you're in a country that is incredibly wealthy. They spent an incredible amount of money, $220 billion. And if you watch the interviews of the non-Muslims who were there, they absolutely loved it. They said that they had a wonderful time. The Qataris were incredibly hospitable. They had the awesome idea of forming people's national flags into a gutra. So they're involving the it's kind of like a hidden way of involving the culture of that. It's like a synthesis of cultures, right? So I thought that was something really special. Zakir Naik was there, and thousands of people converted to Islam while they're in Qatar. I mean, just that alone is just so much unbelievable positivity. And obviously, when people come back from World Cup Qatar and go to their home countries, if they're not Muslim already, I mean, it's there. Word will get around like, yeah, we went to Qatar, they surpassed all of our expectations, and we absolutely love it. So the ripple effects that are going to come out of this whole event, I mean, only Allah knows, like all the positives that are going to come out of it. So, and there were no arrests, which is incredible. And just the fact that you're getting thousands of non-Muslim football fans to not drink alcohol, for during an entire soccer match, that's an incredible feat, right? So I mean, even though there were people, you could buy alcohol, in the bars, far away, in designated areas. That's beside the point. There's just so much positive things that came out of the World Cup Qatar. I mean, It was a win for the Palestinian cause. The Moroccans held the Palestinian flag up. It was a win for Morocco. I mean, the first ever Arab an African country to make semifinals of the World Cup. I know Turkey made the semifinals one year. And yeah, I mean, the way I see it is the World Cup Qatar was an example of the open house effect, right? So what I mean by that is when you have an open house at a masjid, right? By and large, the only people that are going to go to that open house have already a positive image of Islam, right? And I critiqued this, a couple of videos back, and it's important for Muslims to understand this when they're having an open house, because if your goal is outreach and you want to reach out to people who know nothing about Islam, or may have antagonistic opinions about Islam, the mosque isn't the best place to hold an open house, right? Because people who don't like Islam, or they have a neutral opinion on it, or even people who may have a positive opinion about Islam, they're just not going to go because it's foreign territory. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what it's like. They don't want people to see them going in and out of a mosque. So what you do is the people who come into the open house are not a representative sample of the non-Muslim population, right? So if you're holding an open house and your goal is outreach to people who know nothing about Islam, an open house at a mosque is not going to achieve that goal. But for to have a football event, which is the biggest sporting event in the world, aside from the Super Bowl, maybe internationally it's by far the biggest. This is like it's like an open house for the entire Muslim world is hosting, and it's not at a mosque. It's a football game, right? So what we're seeing is non-Muslims went to World Cup Qatar. They're not representative of the entire non-Muslim population. They may already have a positive opinion of Islam, so they might want to go to they already know, they've already been to the Arab world and the Muslim world, or they may be just very adventurous people and maybe very inquisitive. And a lot of people who went to Qatar to watch the World Cup, they were thinking, what, I'm going to put all my prejudices aside, all my fears aside. I love football. I've been to the World Cup before. Let's put all that aside and let's see what the Qataris have to offer. And based on what we saw, with the interviews, it was overwhelmingly positive, right? So, this is the perfect way to show non-Muslims about Islam and the Muslim world and the Arab world. And and again, your Tommy Robinsons and your Douglas Murrays and the people who do not like Islam, they're going to be far less likely to go to Qatar for the World Cup. And I think that's why the overwhelming majority of people who were there were very respectful, and very, really just in a really good mood watching football. Again, you're always going to have haters. You're going to have, the odd, like we saw the German guy, yelling at the stands and stuff. So, you're never going to have perfection, right? There's always going to be haters out there. So what? I mean, the fact of the matter is, it was an unbelievable success for the Muslim world, the Arab world, and it's going to have ripple effects, once people return to their home countries. Other things to note, like the stadiums were, they were made to basically be dismantled, so they could be donated to other countries, which I also thought was awesome. So and yeah, I mean, everything about it was an absolute success. So much positivity, and I don't understand, some Muslim influencers and figureheads just concentrating on all the negative stuff that they'll take one little thing out of all of the wonderful things that happened with World Cup Qatar, and just focus on that ad nauseum, and just put everyone in a crappy mood. And the media, they're going to do what they do. The Western controlled media, they're trying to make the Qatar World Cup look bad, right? And not a lot of non-Muslims are going to see right through this. The fact that whatever it is, if it's Gary Lineker, or the fact that you can't bring in like rainbow flags to the stadium, or the bisht that they gave to Messi after he won the World Cup. This is like minor stuff. I mean, your average non-Muslim Westerner isn't even focusing on that. I mean, if they're smart enough, they can see through that the fact that the media is just trying to make a World Cup Qatar look bad, because the elites who run the media, they're terrified. They don't want any unity or any cooperation between Muslims and the not and Westerners, or even the non-Muslim world in general. They don't want Westerners to convert to Islam, and this is why they have to keep pumping, this really negative, both anti-Islam and anti-Western propaganda simultaneously, so that first of all, people don't convert to Islam in the first place, and two, you make it so you just rile people up so much that you create this atmosphere where it's us versus them, and the whole fact about and I know that people want to cheer for their teams and stuff, and the whole fact that you have the people who want to just focus on the negative about this event, like just think of Muslim countries beating European countries as we're taking back, we're getting back at them for colonialism, and likewise, you have right wing Europeans, gloating over the fact that Argentina is like a whiter country and they beat France because mostly African players. All that stuff is just so negative, and so much positivity came out of this event. And if you as a Muslim influencer are just going to focus on the negative, just don't say anything. Like Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the good Muslim should say something good or stay quiet, right? So why didn't you go to Qatar yourself and give dawah to people there, right? Why focus on all the tiny little things that happen that just irk people, when there's just so much positivity that came out of World Cup Qatar 2022? I mean, honestly, like Qatar, like they knocked it out of the park. I'm not even lying here. Like I am thoroughly impressed with the job that they did. I mean, they exceeded all expectations, and they should absolutely be congratulated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them for this unbelievably unprecedented endeavor, and hopefully we see the ripple effects of this for years to come, inshallah. Okay, so yeah, that's my thoughts on World Cup Qatar 2022. And again, I'm not even a football fan. I mean, I like American football, but even the matches were amazing. I mean, the final is, a lot of the pundits considered it to be the greatest football match ever played. Yeah, I mean, I can't see anything better about it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us, reward Qatar for the job that they did, and the Qataris, and also may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the du'at who did amazing work in inviting people to Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our sins, forgive us for our shortcomings. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So yeah, please like and subscribe to Islam for Europeans. I'm your host, Robert, and we'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.